Good morning. We are continuing to lift up one biblical word each day this week. And today we're going to contemplate the word compassion. You know, there's this story in the Gospel of Mark that always makes me really sad for Jesus. It's when Jesus learns that John the Baptizer has been killed, and he's so grieved that he gets in a boat with his apostles and he just wants to go be alone somewhere. But when they get to the shore, tons of people are there waiting for him. And that's when I get so sad for Jesus, because he doesn't get his time alone. But we read in the gospel how Jesus reacts. He looks at the people and he has compassion on them, because to him, they look like sheep without a shepherd. I've heard compassion defined as not wanting someone to suffer. That's a good starting point. But the word in biblical Greek is more like being moved in one's guts, like that knot in your stomach or the turning of your stomach when you hear bad news about someone. And compassion really requires that we see others, that we recognize them as human beings like us who are vulnerable. It requires a humility. It also requires a disposition of love. That means we're for the person. And finally, compassion is always a gift. It requires nothing back from the other person. It's a desire to help end the pain or the suffering of the other person without seeking anything in return. And compassion leads to action. We don't just want the person not to suffer, but we enact that desire. So in the gospel, when Jesus went and he saw these people and he felt compassion for them, he went and taught them, he healed them, he fed them. This was right before the miracle of the loaves and fishes. He went into action for them. Our compassion for people inspires us to actions. And often the action is really just to kind of listen to someone, to be present with them, to do small acts of service for a person. You know, I remember my son was in a horrible accident this year, and it was almost midnight, and we were in the emergency room. My son was so badly injured. And a girlfriend of mine showed up at the ER with a little care package of water and snacks and mints and other little things. She really didn't know what else she could do. I'll tell you what, though, her just showing up and praying with me for maybe 2 minutes, that was enough. But because we had had such a sleepless night at the hospital, that water and those snacks, they did come in handy. You see, compassion says, I see your pain. I see your suffering, your burden. And not only do I not want you to experience it at all, I don't want you to experience it alone. You see, we certainly cannot usually take people's pain or problems away, but we can meet them in those tender places, and we can be God's loving presence to them. We can enact a shepherd with his or her sheep. And so, friends, do have a blessed day today.